If you're watching this right now, it's because you want to see and understand the moment an American citizen, Alex Pretti, dies at the hands of ICE agents in Minneapolis. It's not gruesome, but it's certainly graphic. And even the audio is difficult to listen to because, as you'll see and hear, there's a scuffle, there's shouting and screaming in just a moment, but then there are 10 distinct shots, at least half of them allegedly fired in self-defense. In Minneapolis, this is now the second such deadly shooting in about as many weeks. And as was the case with the first, federal officials seemed to immediately share a very precise, identical understanding of what happened, long before any formal investigation was carried out at all.
This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
Here's how else the Trump administration has described the man who was just shot dead. An assassin trying to murder, wishing to inflict harm, a domestic terrorist impeding ICE officers, brandishing a weapon, someone who violently resisted, causing an armed struggle. How much of this is accurate? Because the official narrative is so definitive about how hostile the victim was, let's back up from the scuffle itself and show what we know about what Alex Pretti was doing at the scene before he died. In this video, let's freeze it right away. This is Alex Pretti. He's face-to-face with an ICE agent. And right away, there are two questions to ask. This standoff, how heated is it? And what's Pretti holding in his hand? The video continues. We can hear continuous honking. All the noise is worth mentioning because it says something about the tenor of what's unfolding. It's loud, it's tense, ICE officers are carrying out an operation, protesters are watching, jeering, and in some cases, directly confronting those officers, which we can see about 15 seconds into the same video I just showed you. The ICE officer has a hand on Pretti, pushing him away. Pretti takes a few steps back, but then takes one large step backwards to brace himself, to stop the push. It's at this point we can answer both questions we asked earlier. How heated is this confrontation? Well, now it's physical. We also get our clearest shot at what Pretti is holding in his hands. It's a smartphone. He's filming the moments leading up to his own death. Let's unpause the video.
Let's go around.
Pretti is forced back to the sidewalk. But following that altercation, Pretti is still at the scene and he's still filming. This is now about 55 seconds before Pretti dies. That's his arm coming into frame. And a second later, we'll see him walking into the middle of the street, trying to wave traffic through. These two here, they're important because the ICE agent they're filming is about to get very upset. Scrubbing forward to about 30 seconds before the moment Pretti is shot dead, the agent is approaching one of the women.
What the is wrong with you?
Then we see that same agent pushing the second woman hard enough to cause her to fall down. We can fill in some of the gaps from this other angle. Keep your eye on this part of your screen. You see the agent pushing the first woman, then pushing the second. Then we see him pushing the first woman again harder. We'll play that again. And in just a moment, right here, we see that second woman in the lighter coat being pushed to the ground. This is our clearest view of the moment things escalate from the use of force to the use of weapons, some kind of chemical spray. In both cases, it's this ICE agent who appears to make the first violent move. So here's where the federal narrative starts to unravel.
During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
Based on the videos I've seen from multiple angles, there is no way this is a fair recounting of what happened. We'll see in a moment, there is a handgun involved, and it does belong to Alex Pretti. But not 1 second leading up to this point in the video evidence suggests the ICE agents even know Pretti is carrying a weapon. So let's keep watching up until the point they realize he is armed. We'll pick up where Pretti is helping one of the women, while the other gets pushed to the ground. Pretti immediately tries to put himself between them, and this is where he gets pepper sprayed. Again, I don't know exactly what chemical is used here. But what I can tell you is that other agents are about to get involved. At least 1, 2, 3 other agents begin walking towards Pretti. Within just a few seconds, 3 more approach as well. They're running over. And in all, I count at least 8 who eventually descend on Pretti, wrestling him to the ground. This part is hard to watch because it's clear from various moments in the video, like here, for example, about 9 seconds away now from Pretti's death, he doesn't appear to be attacking anyone at all, which raises serious questions about how Homeland Security describes what we're seeing.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
Both of Pretti's hands are visible here. He's protecting his head, and he's being pinned down by several people. At one point, this agent is even swinging his can of spray at Pretti's head. But let's move now to 6 seconds before Pretti's death. It's here we get our best understanding of how things escalate from a simple arrest to 10 shots fired at point-blank range. You're going to hear a whistle blowing, then listen as best you can to what the ICE agents are shouting. What we're hearing there is the gun, the gun, the gun, shouted repeatedly. And while that's happening, another agent shouts, "Get the gun." Listen once more. And it's at this moment we see this agent in the black pointy hat. He's pulling out his gun. So here's what both sides seem to agree on, that by all accounts, Pretti was carrying a gun at the time. Donald Trump posted this picture online. "This is the gunman's gun," he wrote. The slide pulled back. A black magazine placed for this photo to the gun's left, and towards the back of the gun, a 6-hour accessory of some kind. Based on the way it's bolted to the slide, possibly a red dot sight for aiming. The local police were asked about Pretti and said 2 things. He had no criminal record, and he was legally authorized to carry that gun.
The only interaction that we are aware of with law enforcement has been for traffic tickets, and we believe he is a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
But here's where timing and the chaos of the melee matter. What some of those ICE agents may or may not have known is that at the moment they shot him dead, Pretti was reportedly unarmed. A split second before the first shot is fired, this ICE agent has actually managed to take what appears to be Pretti's handgun off his person. And from this angle, across the street, we see something else. At least 5 shots appear to be fired while Pretti is already completely motionless on the ground. At this point, it doesn't really feel like self-defense anymore. And that's supported by the fact that the US Border Patrol chief seemed to count only half the shots fired as strictly defensive shots.
Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots.
The remaining 5 that we hear in the video, he leaves unmentioned.
As a federal agent, you have to be able to articulate that the individual you're shooting your weapon at is a threat to light or serious bodily injury to yourself or others.
One other thing I've seen pointed out in various analyses of the video. After the first 5 shots, we see this one ICE agent clapping, 2 hard claps. Then he turns away quite calmly. Nothing in his movements suggests he perceives any immediate threat at all, and he barely reacts otherwise to the fact that his colleagues have just shot a man dead. The most straightforward argument the Trump administration has put forward to justify the killing of an American citizen by ICE agents is that Alex Pretti was getting in the way, getting violent, and possibly just moments away from getting out his gun. But there's a second argument they're making, which theoretically applies no matter what the video shows.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence.
Any gun owner knows that when you are carrying a weapon, when you are bearing arms, and you are confronted by law enforcement, you are raising the assumption of risk and the risk of force being used against you.
I think what's being suggested here is that Pretti is in some way at least partly responsible for his own death, for the fact of bringing his handgun to a protest. The FBI director has even come to a conclusion about Pretti's allegedly hostile intent from the fact of bringing his handgun to a protest.
No one who wants to be peaceful shows up at a protest with a firearm that is loaded with 2 full magazines.
So here's what I'll say. Strictly speaking, law enforcement is more likely to feel threatened by someone with a gun than someone without one. But the flip side is that gun ownership is a Second Amendment right, and certainly not grounds for officers to simply assume you intend to fire it. Local law enforcement says Pretti was permitted to open carry, and nowhere in state or federal law is bringing a firearm to a protest illegal.
The state can restrict certain areas, like you can't bring a firearms into a federal building. You can't bring it into a school. So there are restrictions on where you can and cannot bring a firearm. But bringing a firearm to a protest is not one such restriction.
So here's the bottom line. What's happened in Minneapolis with this deadly shooting raises 2 very difficult questions. The first is whether law enforcement was justified in shooting at Alex Pretti 10 times, whether that's a reasonable use of deadly force. But the second question is much harder. It's whether Americans will fully trust federal officials to get it right. Because what the most important decision makers in Trump's orbit have done is to severely prejudge the outcome of any investigation.
This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
And when confronted specifically with the video evidence and how it doesn't appear to support what they're saying.
This situation, again, is evolving. This situation is under investigation. Those facts will come to light.
But when does Pretti draw the gun exactly? One reporter asked. At exactly what point did ICE agents feel threatened?
Again, this situation's evolving. This is under investigation. Those facts will come to light.
This is where, at least for now, there are no more answers. There's the official account, there's the video, and very likely more protests and more violence to come.